Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and we are back with another rack store pickup. And as you can see from the footage, I stopped in my local Burlington. There were a few fragrances there that I really wanted to try. I know that a lot more of those Middle Eastern cologne fragrances are popping up, the loose bottles. They don't even have a box. So there are a few that piqued my interest. However, there was one fragrance that stood out. And the reason for that is because, in my opinion, this is a flanker 30 years in the making. The OG of this fragrance I ended up picking up was released back in 1990, and this particular flanker not released until 29 years later in 2019. That fragrance that we're talking about today is Eternity Flame for Men. Now, I want to say I have tried this, but it's been a long time. I don't really remember it. I remember it being likable. But I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of an in-depth analysis of it. Reason being is because this is pretty much widely available at rack stores from time to time. There are moments where I see it pop up and it's there for like a month or so, and then I'll see it. I won't see it for another month. So I paid $30 for it, $29.99. This is for the 100 ml. So in my opinion, I think that is not a bad price to pay for 100 ml. Now, whether or not the fragrance is any good remains to be seen. Let's bust this open as I always do. I'm going to try it on skin, walk you guys through it, let you know what I pick up, and then ultimately let you guys know what I think of this one overall and if it's worth it. Let's jump into it. As I mentioned in the intro, the original Eternity was released in 1990. That fragrance was an absolute mega hit of a scent back in the 90s. And then even then on, into the early 2000s, and still popular today. A lot of guys still wearing that fragrance. It has that classic fougere 90s vibe to it that really any guy can pull off. And to me, still doesn't smell dated. I think it was sort of ahead of its time. But Eternity Flame, I really like the presentation here. I like the color of the juice. It definitely evokes that fiery flame, spicy vibe. Now, whether or not this is spicy, I don't remember, but I really like the bottle, much like the OG bottle, but you have flame written there in the red text. So let's take a look at the Atomizer. Really good Atomizer. There was a fragrance back, again, maybe late 90s from Victoria's Secret called, okay, I like this in the air, called Very Sexy for Him. And that was similar, maybe like a cross between Versace Dylan Blue and the original Eternity. That was a super popular fragrance when I was in high school. And it was one that a lot of guys, if you wore it, it was a you know thing. Because you thought you had one up on some of the other guys that maybe didn't know better to go into a Victoria's Secret because they were selling men's fragrances. Really great scent. I'd love to get my hands on a bottle of that eventually. So in the air, this is sweet. It's reminding me of other things. Kind of has that bubblegum, fruity sweetness to it. Little spicy, really pleasant in the air. It's familiar. It's a likable, sweet, fresh fragrance. So let's get this on skin and see what I pick up. Fruity, soft, a little bit ambery. Not as much spice as I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit spicier, especially after spraying it in the air. I was picking up some spice, but not as much off of my skin. It's kind of aromatic. There's something green in here, slightly herbal, along with that sweetness, which I like. Reminding me a little bit of something like Stronger With You, the way it uses the fresh and sweet with those slight aromatics, that green aromatic touch that I'm not sure really where it's coming from, but overall, this is really nice. I'm not really getting any of the OG, which is a little disappointing because I really like that scent, as I said, but that's okay. Sometimes with these flankers that come out, decades later, almost 2 decades later in this case, 3 decades later, they're going to try to stay current. They're going to try to stay on trend. And that's sort of what they're doing with this one. Has almost a licorice vibe to it in the background, which is nice. Definite fruitiness. Not really sure what type of fruit is being used here. It's juicy. It smells great. So what I will say is that for the money, this smells of really great quality. It smells authentic. It smells not synthetic. And for $30 for 100 ml, they're onto something here. Let's take a look at the notes really quickly, see what's in here, and I'll see how this changes. The notes for Eternity Flame for Men, top notes are pineapple, mid notes are rosemary, and the base notes are amber, leather, and labdanum. So, couple things here based on those notes. The leather, I'm not really picking up just yet. It is in the base. Obviously, as this settles in, I would imagine some more of that leather coming out. The labdanum, I'm a fan of. I like that in fragrances. Again, it's subtle. It's not as prominent as that pineapple note, which is the fruitiness I'm getting. I always have a tough time identifying pineapple specifically in fragrances. I don't know why. I think it's possibly because if you go to smell a pineapple, it doesn't really have a memorable scent to it, at least not for me. Taste-wise, love it. Incredible pineapple. But smell-wise, just not offering up a lot based on what I remember it smelling like. So I just kind of get a fruity sweetness. And then that rosemary is absolutely, again, I couldn't specifically pick out rosemary, but it has this aromatic, herbal, airy quality to it that is really well balanced. It balances out the sweetness well. I would say this is a mature sweetness. It's not too youthful. This would be a great night out scent for a lot of guys on a budget. If you have $30 to spend, you got a date lined up, you're meeting someone new, this is going to be a really perfect scent for a situation like that. It's not going to break the bank, and it smells of really great quality. Now, I'd be curious to see what type of performance I get from this, and as I always do, I'm going to wear it this week, talk about it more in my weekly wears video, which drop every single Monday. And if you guys have not watched last week's weekly wears video, those fragrances are sitting right behind me right now. I talk about all 7 fragrances in that video. So at the end of this video, go check that one out. This one overall, and that more of that leather is starting to come out for sure. I like it. Do you need to run out and get this? No, it's not going to blow your mind or anything like that. And you may already own things like this, but it has a mature sweetness to it. It's a little sort of dynamic in that it's utilizing a leather note with a pineapple and some aromatics. So it's balancing that fresh, sweet, almost slight animalic vibe to it. So yeah, I think they did a great job with this, especially at the price point. And this is one that pops up frequently at rack stores. So if you're in a rack store, you don't have a lot of money to spend, you want to try something new, this, to me, pretty safe blind buy. Some of that sweetness is subsiding, and it's a little bit of a warmth coming out now. And I think it's mainly because of that combination of the labdanum and the leather. So overall, a nice fragrance. As it settles in a little bit, it's getting a little less interesting, a little less mass appealing. I really liked that sweetness initially, and the sweetness for me is pretty much gone at this point. So what you're left with is that base and some of those herbal notes as well from the rosemary. So would love to know what you guys think of Eternity from Men's Flame. Drop it in the comment section down below. But if you like what you saw today, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Hit that bell notification so you are updated whenever I upload new content. But until then, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.